Hello and welcome to another Looney Tunes review video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to follow my journey to review all 1000 classic Looney Tunes shorts and give this video a like as well. So this is a review for The Haunted Mouse, released in 1941. It's the 316th in the series and it's directed by Tex Avery. There is a restoration that's out there and it's been lurking around for ages as it was done a few years ago. And it's in the public domain, so it's clearly all over YouTube, although I'll have it at the end of this video as well, just for completeness sake. Although there was an error, they used the wrong opening rendition for some weird reason, so I fixed that for this review. I mean, if I can do it, why not, right? But at the time of this recording, there's no release on any physical media. Hopefully that'll change, and hopefully, again, they'll fix that error up when they release it. But in case you haven't seen this one, and again, you can see it at the end, I'll just do a synopsis for completeness sake, but you just got this hungry cat that's wandering around where he encounters a town, a ghost town to be precise. And after a while, we see a ghost mouse who then proceeds to mess with the cat. So nothing really deep here. There's actually quite a bit of trivia for this one. So first up, if you notice in the titles, you will see the writing credit as Mike Maltese, although the surname has been misspelled. This is actually his first writing credit on a Looney Tunes short, and this is the only time he would actually work with Tex Avery while at Warner Brothers, so it's kind of interesting. Watching this short, it's not a particular favorite of mine, and there are definitely some issues with it, but it's quite possible that he just didn't pair well with Tex Avery, and of course he did much better work with Chuck Jones, and even with Friz Freleng on a few shorts as well. He only worked a couple of times, I think, with Bob McKimson here and there in the 1950s, but all in all, this is the first time you see his name on the credits, albeit incorrectly spelt, which I'm sure he would have gotten corrected right away. And also, I'll just point out that the only other time that Tex Avery and Mike Maltese would pair up would be in The Legend of Rock by Point, which was done over at Walter Lantz Studio. Because at that point, Maltese was doing some work there while the studio Warner Brothers had shut down for a while, and Tex Avery had left MGM at that point as well. And I've actually reviewed that short. It was one of the member request videos where I review other shorts that's not Looney Tunes, and people can request for me to take a look at all these other shorts, just to mix things up a bit. So I guess I had to insert a little plug here, right? Now, one question a lot of you might be wondering is, hang on a moment, originally at the studio you would start with black and white, and you would quote-unquote graduate to doing color cartoons later on. So before this short was released, just to put everything into perspective for everyone, you had Looney Tunes, which was the domain of Porky Pig. So those were the cheaper made shorts, hence why they were in black and white, and you had the main starring character. Although I would use the term starring character loosely, and I'll explain why in a moment. But then you had the Merry Melodies, they had more money put into them, of course because they were color cartoons. And by this point, the whole original idea of Merry Melodies, which was to promote a song, had been done away with, so you would just have a lot of one-shots, you have spot gag cartoons that Tex Avery would do and so on. And each unit would be dedicated to a particular kind of short. So before this short was released, you had Bob Clampett's unit, which was just doing Porky Pig short, and boy oh boy, you can tell by this point he was bored and sick and tired of using Porky, and he would do anything he could to get rid of Porky in the shorts so he could focus on other characters and ideas. You had Chuck Jones's unit, where he took over from Frank Tashin, and that was just doing color cartoons, but he was experimenting with other characters like Sniffles, Inky and the Minor Bird, the Two Curious Pups, and so on. But he was just doing the color cartoons, he wasn't doing Porky Pig. Although he did do one, but that was a special short, that was more on the serious side. You had Tex Avery, who hadn't done black and white short in a while. He was doing color cartoons by this point and doing a mixture of initially song promotion and then spot gag cartoons and then just other fairy tale parodies and so on. But Friz Freleng, though, he returned to the studio, he took back the unit that he gave up when he went to MGM, and he was actually doing a mixture of some color Merry Melodies and black and white Porky Pigs. And so it was decided that all 4 units from here on were going to actually do a mixture of color and black and whites. So you're going to see a few black and white shorts from Tex Avery around this time, alongside his other color cartoons. In fact, one of the next few cartoons is the Crackpot Quail, just to give you an idea, and that's a color cartoon. And this is also the point in time where you'll see Chuck Jones direct a few black and white shorts, and these would be the only black and white shorts that he would actually direct in his career, unless you count those few that he co-directed with Bob Clampett a few years prior. And Bob Clampett would finally be able to direct some color cartoons as well, which I'm sure he was very happy about, that he didn't have to shoehorn Porky in every single thing he did. So he would be very happy, I'm sure. Now with this short, you've just got two characters in this whole thing. You've got a cat and you've got a mouse. In this case, a ghost mouse. So the cat's voiced by Mel Blanc, but the mouse is voiced by Walter Tetley. And that information comes from Keith Scott's Wonderful Cartoon Voices book. Walter Tetley is not really a household name. However, you likely may have heard him before. If you didn't hear him as one of the voices for Andy Panda, and Andy Panda had quite a few different voices, he was actually the voice of Sherman in the Mr. Peabody and Sherman segments of the Bullwinkle Show. So if the voice here sounds familiar, that's probably where you would have heard it. He's also been in a few live-action projects. He was uncredited in the Abbott and Costello film Whodunit, and he was an elevator operator. He was also a bellhop in the Gildersleeve on Broadway, and the Great Gildersleeve was parodied on Looney Tunes as well. So it all goes around, comes around. So you've got Looney Tunes parodying radio, and then you've got radio projects going on to movies and so on. So it's all fascinating when you start connecting all the dots together. So yeah, in case you were wondering, wait, hang on a moment, that voice sounds familiar, it's highly likely it would be due to his voice as Sherman in the Mr. Peabody and Sherman sections. But what we're going to do now is take a look at this short from start to finish and pretty much ask ourselves the question, can Tex Avery go back to doing what he did when he first started doing Looney Tunes shorts? So he started doing shorts like The Gold Diggers of 49, Plain Dippy, and those early Porkies where everything was incredibly wild and crazy. Do any of these later black and white efforts match what he originally did? Well, we're going to find out and take a look at all the scenes here. So right away, as soon as we open up, we've got this beautiful atmospheric title card, complete with the fog effect there. It looks really spooky, although it doesn't quite match up what we're going to actually see. So whoever did this title card probably wasn't privy to what was actually going on in the short. Still, it sets up the mood pretty nicely as we then see our cat. And there's something about these Tex Avery cats I absolutely love. And people who know me, who've seen this channel a lot, know I love the dopey cats. And this is definitely one of the dopier ones. Is he the dopiest? Not really. I'd rank him somewhere in the middle. But he's fine for what he is. But say what you want about the fact that it's in black and white, I think it actually works for a short like this, sort of giving off that horror movie vibe of the 1930s, where all the best ones were in black and white, of course, Frankenstein and Dracula and so on. But these backgrounds are definitely lush, and again, even if you're not a fan of this short, you can't deny it looks really good. So he's weakly walking along, looks up and sees Ma's place, home cooking 3 miles. And I guess for story reasons, he breaks the fourth wall and says, oh boy, food, and he gets very excited. And so we see him run off and head into the ghost town, and he must be so hungry that he didn't even see the actual sign there saying population 100 ghosts. So we can see a whole bunch of puns here. So instead of Boomtown, we've got Boo Town. And a Boomtown is essentially a town that pops up due to discovery of a precious metal, usually gold in the earlier era. But yeah, we're going to see a whole bunch of puns. Bones Hardware, ha ha. And there's a little sign which I never really noticed before. Teeth Pull'em. And I'm literally recording this a day after getting a crown put on one of my teeth. So yeah, it's kind of weird timing there. But again, beautiful backgrounds. Even if some of these puns are incredibly cringy, like the Hotel Waldorf Ghostoria, that's a pun on Hotel Waldorf Astoria, which is a famous hotel, US Ghost Office, ha ha, that should be obvious, post office pun. The next one may not be one people are aware of, but that's a parody of old gold cigarettes. In fact, in a recent short by Chuck Jones, which was called Ghost Wanted, they had old ghoul cigarettes, so here it's old ghost, so I don't know, maybe they just wanted to diversify their names, I don't know. And the next one's just sad, really. Instead of the movie Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, it's Mr. Smith Ghost to Washington. Ha ha. And Blondie was a series of films at the time, and it's said to be one of the inspirations for the Jetsons later on. But after all that, we finally see the destination that he's looking for, which is Ma's Place Home Cooking. But I love that animation once he realizes that this is the place he needs to be. And instead of just walking normally, because no one ever walks normally in a Tex Avery short, right? He just bounces along, all childlike, into this broken down place. And then we see our other character, which is our ghost mouse. The ghost mouse decides it's my turn to have some fun because of all those cats that used to bother him when he was still alive, which fair enough. Although you do kind of feel sorry for this innocent cat who's just hungry, he just wants to get a bite to eat and that's it. And now this mouse is just going to torment him just because he's a cat and nothing more. Now, I'm happy to be corrected, but it looks like Bob McKimson animation of the mouse, because I am slowly trying to learn to identify other animators, so if I'm correct on that, let me know in the comments below. If I'm incorrect, well, correct me, okay? And I say this because of how well-rounded the animation is. So the mouse decides to mess with the cat by bringing an invisible saucer of milk. And naturally, what are we going to hear in the score here once the mouse starts to mess with the cat? Ain't we got fun? Because of course we do. Now this scene does take a little while, but I'm always impressed by special effects animators. So first of all, he's trying to lick up the quote-unquote ghost milk, I guess, and the bowl disappears, but he keeps on going. Look at all the slobber that comes out of the tongue there. Again, it was all done by hand, and I like how it's just all exaggerated here. So he knocks the cat on the head and saying, "Hey stupid, you lost something." That's pretty mean. I have seen criticism of this short that this mouse is such a mean-spirited character, and I have to admit, he definitely comes across as a bit of a jerk. I can understand he's wanting to get back at a cat, which is why he's dead, but the character's not exactly appealing. Now, a lot of this bit is done by Rod Scribner, and that one was an easy one. I already knew, actually from years ago when I recorded the original audio commentary for this, which I still have up on the channel, so if you want to check that out, you can definitely do so. But another thing you'll notice about this short, it's actually very talky. But one of Mike Maltese's trademarks is a lot of wordplay, and his shorts tend to be a lot more talky, which seems to complement what Chuck Jones liked to do later on as well. So there's a lot of thing about I could have used that milk, I was hungry. It definitely goes on for a fair bit, but the mouse decides to investigate, and we hear that beautiful sound effect of that rusty jaw opening. So here's another bit here where we get another little musical pun. We hear Angel in Disguise, because of course we do, because we know that this mouse is planning on doing something cheeky. Now, Devin Baxter has identified that this scene would have been done by Virgil Ross. So now the mouse suggests a few options for food, as the cat is clearly hungry, and he ends up suggesting a mouse. And the cat, again, while slobbering, lovely effects animation there, agrees that, oh yes, I would definitely like a mouse. But because he's kind of on the slow slide, he realizes, hey, wait a minute, you're a mouse. Chases after him and his head on the door. And so the cat starts to yell for the mouse to come out. He's shaking his fist, and we see a gag that Avery would end up repeating over at MGM, where he's shaking his fist, he's demanding the mouse comes out, but the actual mouse ends up doing the same thing as him, which I definitely got a chuckle out of. Love that. So what comes next, a lot of it really is just a whole bunch of scenes where the cat tries to catch the mouse, but because the mouse is a ghost, he ends up just disappearing and reappearing and so on. I do like how the mouse asks the cat, "Hey, did you get me?" And the cat even answers, "I think I did." Well, you know, this cat ain't so bright, is he? But in the next bit, we see the cat roll up his sleeve, which is, of course, wonderful cartoon logic, as we all know and love. And this bit takes a little while to get going, although we got yet another bit of beautiful special effects animations. In fact, the special effects animator is definitely one of the stars of this short, that's for sure. But he slowly lifts up the tail and ends up booting the cat's behind, and this looks like Rod Scribner animation as well because of all the folds that you see. And really, the next few bits is just brutal, really. The cat's tail is all tied up, and as he's wincing in pain, he even breaks the fourth wall to the audience. And so, I don't know, when I'm watching this, I definitely feel more sorry for this cat. Then we see a little ho-hum gag where the mouse, while invisible, ends up drawing a ridiculous-looking cat on the wall, saying this cat is a jerk, which doesn't really add much to the short, admittedly. It does make the cat angry, though. But I like the added touch in the next shot where the cat is hungry, and we can actually see his rib cage there too, which didn't have to be done, but it's a nice little touch. But all that happens here is that the mouse just tickles the cat, and that's pretty much it. There's just nothing really to it. Again, we just got a few minutes of this cat being tortured and nothing more. The ghost mouse even comes out, playing the drums, hits the cat on the head, and Avery even repeats himself where the mouse ends up kissing the cat, but it was pretty much a repeat of what happened in Wild Hare anyway, which was definitely done a lot better there. And then we see a gag that we've seen in quite a few Tex Avery shorts, and a lot of this sort of thing was done at the studio at the time. In fact, if you watch those Christmas specials that the Schlesinger Studios did, there was a lot of Game of Hotfoot. And here is just a weird bit of logic. Like, where exactly is that match staying put? Because with Hotfoot, there is a place you could put in the shoe to do the prank, but here it's just, what, did they just shove it in the foot or something? It's really weird. But all this torment is at least animated pretty well, and the cat ends up doing a wonderful run cycle towards the window and to his doom, because with the payoff of him becoming a ghost, well, we know that he actually ended up dying. And here, the mouse says, he had it coming to him. Really? Did he? He was just a hungry cat that was just looking for food. You just hate cats. But okay. Well, at least we get a punchline that makes sense. And now, since the cat is a ghost himself, he can now actually teach this mouse a lesson, which is fair enough. Again, beautifully animated. And we see that it's not 100 ghosts anymore, it's 99, as the mouse is chased out of town. And of course, we don't count the ghost cat in that figure, so yes, 99 is accurate. But we end right there. This one is a bit of an oddball short, and definitely not one of Avery's better efforts. Look, it's beautifully animated. You've got beautiful McKimson, Rod Scribner, Virgil Ross animation here. Beautiful special effects, and I already mentioned this, they were definitely the star of the show here, and it would have added a lot of expense to this one despite it being a black and white short. Could this be one of many reasons that led to Avery being fired? I mean, this sort of thing wouldn't have led him to be fired in of itself, but it could have been a chain of events leading up to his firing. Oh, and Devin Baxter also notes that with the ending, there were actually originally going to be 9 ghost cats chasing after the mouse, which would have made complete sense. Cats have 9 lives after all. But still, you probably wouldn't have saved this short. This one, look, it gets 6 out of 10, and that's mainly for the animation and the special effects and just the overall look of it. It looks beautiful, it really does. But yeah, this mouse is definitely a jerk. Then again, I'm a cat guy, so, I don't really want to see cats being tortured unless they, of course, deserve it. Some of you might argue that all cats are jerks, and maybe that's true, but some are less jerks than others. But look, you be the judge. Let me know what you guys think of this short, if you think it's funnier than I thought it was, or if you think it's worse than what I thought it was, or whatever the case may be. Let me know in the comments, so enjoy the short, but until next time, take care.
Oh boy, food. Me ragged. Now it's my turn to have some fun. There was a nice bowl of milk right here, and then, just like that, it disappeared. You don't say. I was sure hungry for that milk, 'cause my stomach's empty. Yeah? Let's take a look. Holy cats! It
that, Slug. You don't need food. Now, I'd suggest some nice sardines or any type of fish. Or perhaps a little, fat, tender mouse.
Yeah. A little fat, tender mouse. Hey, you're a mouse.
Hello, jerk.
Come on over there. I'll get you. Come on over there, you mouse. Come on, I'll get you. Come on over there. Come on over there. Come on over there, I said. Come on, you mouse. Go over there.
We'll get you. Come on out now. We'll get you, you mouse. Come on. Come on out. You Uh-oh. Did you get me, Punchy?
Yeah, I think I did. Wait a minute now. I'll take a look.
Hello again.
This hurts. Oh, ow, oh, ouch, ow, oh, ow. Don't take me. Don't take me. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, my God, don't take me.
Guess who? Too bad. Too bad. But the Slug had it coming to him. That's one cat that won't bother me anymore.